Hey everybody, it's Jillian. Good morning, happy Saturday. It's cold Saturday. So last night I was actually blow drying my hair and just blowing it out so straight. It looked good. And yeah, I could see the youth in my face. I could see right now going through some major hormonal fluctuations. Like my body actually is recalibrating. And it's not exactly fitting in with the current mainstream society out there. And it's unfortunate, but some of you that are on Jilly Juice are going to be dealing with totally fluctuating biochemistry, fluctuating hormones, and you're going to have to find different ways to relate to people around you. It's not easy. It really isn't, but you'll find a way. You have worth other than your hormones. So that's the thing about Jilly Juice is finding your worth in relationships that aren't contingent upon you giving up all your hormones all the time. So, anyways, so yes, so I'm seeing a complete difference in my body, mind, and spirit. Still, I don't feel as many hot flashes, but I did do a major poop yesterday, like major. Um, and I wasn't really even doing the J juice. It just, I don't know. So there's such thing as when you have a lot of poop in your system and it backs you up, it also could potentially trigger hot flashes, but I don't know if that really is it because I still have a few hot flashes, but I don't have a lot of poop in my system. So I don't know. It's weird, but I do definitely feel like yesterday I was cleaning the house and I just felt like I could keep cleaning and keep cleaning. I could, and it's just like the endless productivity, the endless, energy. When you need to sleep, you sleep. The mental clarity, the ability to kind of foresee and see through bullshit, especially around this damn thing with Trump's timely October surprise, and only with the elections, but with this COVID diagnosis that they didn't have to go and televise, but they did it for a reason. And it is outlining the narrative what they're going to be imposing upon you as far as contact tracing, more controls over your movement so they can do the contact tracing, and then the vaccinations, which is basically going to age you. Antibodies are not supposed to be induced. Antibodies are not supposed to be injected in you. Monoclonal antibodies are not supposed to be any part of therapeutics. Okay? Antibodies are the aging process. Antibodies are aging. How it is that we have antibodies is the reasoning, so that way when your body evolves to a higher level of self, the old self is then dissolved, and then your cell regeneration is then regenerating the new self based upon the current microbiome. What happens is a lot of you are taking on and keeping old microbiomes that are inducing antibodies, and then those antibodies are aging you. I mean, aging is when your collagen is being wiped away and your bones are becoming more brittle and your eyesight's failing, your hair's falling out. Um, you're not walking as straight. Your nervous system, you're full of anxiety or have mild anxiety that you're using drugs to kind of temper it. I mean, the aging process. The cancer. What is it? Cancer, disease, and chronic illness. That basically is the aging process. That's the amount of antibodies in your body, and your body trying to live simultaneously, and it's both sides of your immune system. Okay, the prostaglandins that regenerate and the prostaglandins that then trigger the antibodies that have been programmed to then do a search and destroy. And so when your immune system is fighting each other and then the antibodies are weaning out, and then you're getting more antibodies as part of your therapeutics, and you're taking prescription drugs and vaccinations and over-the-counter drugs and herbal remedies and cannabis, all of that is suppressing your evolution, and it is promoting the aging process in your body. And so it's no surprise that, yes, I'm looking younger on the J juice because I know how to release the excess antibodies. And yeah, my body is changing. I have no desire to procreate. It's the trippiest thing. So because you are your best copy now. You are now the ultimate original copy, which is kind of like an oxymoron, but that oxymoron fits because at some point, when you stop procreating and you are the best copy, you are now going to be the original because at some point all of your family, like your blood relatives, are going to pass away and you're going to be the only one left on this earth that is a representation of your genetic line. And so at some point you're going to be the best original copy. And that's the point of the Jilly Juice. If you have people in families that are doing Jilly Juice, and great, you have 5 original copies that would be the best and that won't need to procreate, or 10 original copies, and so there is such thing as a little bit of contradiction in the J-Juice world because yes, you live in a world that is balancing 2 different worlds, the as above and so below. So you're going to have a little bit of both, no different than yin and yang, that little circle of white and all that black of the yin, and the little circle of black in that white of the yang. That's what the Jilly Juice world in conjunction with the old world, the new world that is mixing with the old world. And so, it's such a weird phenomenon to go through this journey and seeing that I haven't had my period yet. It's been since August 15th since my period. And like I said, yes, menopause. Menopause doesn't have to mean that you are dying, that you are hitting that point of where your reproductive system is dead. My reproductive system isn't dead, but doesn't feel the need to procreate. It doesn't feel the need to drop an insurance policy such as eggs. And so, yes, you're going to see a lessening of your hormones that is very prevalent out there in the mainstream dying society. Because when people are dying, what do they want to do? They want to procreate. Okay? So it's definitely a very interesting phenomenon. If you're still very much into the old world, Jilly Juice world will not be for you. Not everybody can handle the changes because you have to have more than just a focus on your body. You have to understand your mind and your spirit. If you're very body oriented, then the mind and the spirit are really not going to be something you're interested in as far as exercising and cultivating. Exercising as meaning like you're now wanting to see a different way of relating to your life. It's not about bodily pleasures. It's not about hormonal pleasures. Now it's about learning about your world that you live in on a conceptual, intellectual basis, even on a spiritual basis, because that can happen. Okay, like when you're dreaming at night and your body's in some type of chaos because you're going through biochemical changes, your dreams let you know the biochemical changes that you're going through. And if you're not going through biochemical changes, then you're not really going to dream too much. So, the last dream I had was about bread and my mother. And I was in a nice restaurant. It wasn't even like leavened bread. It was unleavened bread. It was flat bread, like the Jews that made matzah out there in the desert when they left the land of Egypt. Now, am I making reference to the Exodus? Because in a lot of ways, yeah, there is an exodus of the old world out of my body. Okay? And, this is my proof. My experience of Jilly Juice is my proof. Those of you who are looking for proof that Jilly Juice works in the way that I mentioned it, you're going to have to do it or not do it. If you don't do it, then yeah, that's proof that it doesn't work because you're not doing it. If you do Jilly Juice and you are willing to face all of your predispositions and feel the pain of the next conscious level of evolution, then that will be the proof right there. But Jilly Juice does work. But you can't be afraid of it. You can't be afraid of the salt. You can't buy into the bullshit mainstream media narrative that you're seeing right now being rolled out as far as Operation Warp Speed. And, it's too coincidental that after all this time that Trump is out there rallying the troops and going to all these different gatherings inside and outside, now he gets COVID. Now he's diagnosed with COVID. Now he's at the hospital getting remdesivir or something or some other antibody therapeutic October 1st. October 1st. Well, yeah, it's too convenient, too coincidental. There are no coincidences in the political world. They are rolling out the vaccinations because it is a very accelerated aging process. Antibodies age you. And when your children are getting vaccinated and they're not releasing the excess and they're not having, a cellular regeneration that's going to help their growth process to where they grow 100% in body, mind, and spirit, they're going to be growing in a really weird, crooked way. And they're going to be fraught with health issues, with developmental issues. And that's the whole point of these vaccinations is control through the hindering of 100% development. Okay? If every single child was able to fulfill 100% of their potential by allowing their development process not to be hindered by antibodies and by therapeutics, imagine the power humanity would have over themselves. We wouldn't need a type of leadership right now that is really maniacal. That is, but then we have 7 billion people we've allowed to survive their, the gestation period, and Mother Nature would have destroyed those that couldn't adapt to the environment. But Bill Gates and all of his vaccines, with his soft, low heat vaccines, allowed people who would not be able to live through childbirth. But now they have cancer, disease, and chronic illness, of which then they're able to use that and exploit the strengths of those that have disabilities. I mean, case in point, look at Steve Hawking. Right there, a case in point. Another case in point, look at the Hollywood actors and actresses. They utilize all different diverse experiments from the medical holistic industry. You look at some of your college professors. They have allowed you to think that it's okay to experiment on people and then exploit their brain to then brainwash the next generation of students. I've seen it in California, San Jose, California. There's a professor that has a lot of different disabilities, and God bless him, he found I could see he was definitely an experiment. His dad is a medical doctor. 4 kids. He was the only one that had the major medical issues, but he had a very, very strong brain. But the rest of his body was emaciated. Well, not emaciated, but it had some issues, diagnosable issues. But his brain was what they exploited. And then you go see the Olympics, and they exploit those with, that very, very strong core bodies with long wingspans and long bodies. And you look at the human genome and what they do to manipulate all the genetics, and then they do designer babies, CRISPR kids. Okay, you don't live in an organic world, you live in a synthetic world. Okay, so like I said before, when you're dealing with somebody who has intentions to exploit your body, mind, and spirit and manipulate your genome, then you have to fight intention with intention. And that's where the Jilly juice comes in. Because you're going to get your life back with Jilly juice, but you have to face everything that has been manipulated. And it's painful. I'm not going to lie. But for me, the only thing that I had to deal with was, the PMDD and other issues that weren't as bad as some of you that have a whole host of issues. Some of you have PTSD. Some of you have other heart issues that you have to deal with, brain issues, lung issues, vital organ issues. And that's hard to face because whenever you have an event, whatever it is, whether it's a kidney event or a liver event or a heart event or a neurological event, you think you're dying, but you're not dying. Your body's actually living, but you have to back it up with the right chemistry. And that's something that people don't understand. So they think that, oh God, Jilly Juice is so horrible. I'm telling you, the medical holistic industry is probably the most horrific genocidal industry you'll ever know. But they're all friendly faces, and they're your friends and family that are getting paid hundreds and thousands of dollars to carry out these experiments on the general population. The St. Jude's, all these different foundations, these children's hospitals, experimental clinics. That's why they don't have to pay any money. They don't have to pay any room and board, any travel expenses, because they're giving their kids away to science. That's what these children's hospitals do. That's what these foundations do, the St. Jude's and everything else. Why do you think Hollywood promotes it? Why do you think MTV wants you guys to vote? See, that's what got me to figure out that voting is a bunch of bullshit and the politicians are a bunch of bullshit, because MTV gives a shit if I vote or not. Like, who cares? Why would MTV care if I voted or not? But they want the buy-in, that you're still going to buy into this facade, this psychological operation that's going on. So, I just sit back and I just watch it all unfold. It's really a trip. It's surreal. When you finally are on the other side of not just being awake, or some of you are awake, but you haven't awakened really your biological side of your body, but your mind and your spirit know that there's something going on. You know that Trump's full of shit. You know all the politics are full of shit. But you still have antibodies in your body. You are still going to be the subject of their intentions until you finally get your body, mind, and spirit aligned, which means releasing the antibodies and countering their intentions. It's one thing to know that all that shit's bullshit as far as what Trump's doing, as far as what Biden's doing, as far as what everybody in Congress is doing. But it's another thing to really get your body aligned, to counter their intentions, and to be able to speak about it. I love the fact that people on my Facebook know what's going on, but they're not going to survive what they're doing. So it doesn't make sense if you know what's going on if you're not going to counter it. It doesn't make sense to know about chemtrails if you're not going to counter the intentions. It doesn't make sense to know about 5G if you're not going to counter the intentions. It doesn't make sense to know about vaccines if you're not going to biochemically counter their intentions. It doesn't make sense to know about counter disease and chronic illness, how it's an intentional thing, if you're not willing to counter its intentions and live and overcome somebody else's intentions to destroy you or use you or exploit you or whatever. Okay? And yeah, so my struggle is to wake those up that say that they're awake, and they might be 50% awake, but the other 50%, they still have a whole battle. They have a huge battle of a balance that it's not going to make a difference if they know what's going on, if they're not going to live through it all. So, anyways, I'm going to go write my book right now, and but you guys, go to jillyjuice.com, get at least the evolution of the Jilly Juice protocol. It's not a very long book. My next book, this is the book that is the newest copyright. I do have another book in there that has my original thought process from 2018, and it looks like this. But I have another book that I'm writing that's going to encapsulate both this and this with a more clarity of thought and definitely more logic and giving you the big picture. So that way, when your friends are like, well, why should I do Jilly Juice? Because they really are not awake and you don't have time to show them the rabbit holes, and they don't have time to really go through the rabbit holes, then my book will at least give them the understanding that we are in a depopulation agenda. And it's not going to happen right away, so they'll have time to counter the depopulation agenda. But not a lot of time. Some of you have major vital organ damage that the antibodies and the vaccines and those that are shedding those antibodies will cause more damage to your friends who are kind of hanging by a string. So some of you don't have a lot of time. Some of you have more time to research and understand my information and then feel comfortable doing the protocol. But others of you are on your last legs, and it's easier to go out with a bang than to really learn a whole different thought process that is completely counter to what you've been told for the last 50, 60, 70 years. So, the Jilly protocol is not for the faint of heart. It's for those that are strong enough to face their own demons. And you have to really have enough strength in body, mind, and spirit, despite your cancer, disease, and chronic illness, to be able to take on a new thought process and then feel it at the biological, physiological level and ride the wave. Because it is a wave. I've been going through so many different waves the last 4 years. It's insane. But you will be able to survive it and thrive despite it. But I'm telling you, the atmosphere is going to get turned up. So just wait. October, November, it's going to be insane. We're already in October, November. It's already insane. The heat's going to get turned up. Just mark my words. All right, you guys have a good day. Bye.